In this video I show you more about my frag tank, where that frag tank is coming from and the whole story around it. So let's get there. Okay, so the frag tank, or the Red Sea reefer, or actually it's not a reefer, I feel like it's just called Red Sea Max Nano. I bought that one when I came back into the hobby again. It was probably like 2 years ago, where I had like everything up here. I just had issues with my Red Sea 250 back in those days. Things didn't went good, so I kind of sold everything, said like, okay, I'm out of it. Probably half a year later, it was winter, I was just sitting inside all the time, was again looking at coral videos, like that one here, and so kind of, I'm like, oh, I have to go back, right? But this time just much smaller, just let's do the smallest tank and then just take good care of it. So I bought that Red Sea Max Nano. I had regular rock inside, sand, my two storm clowns inside, and actually this time, because I had more experience, things went out much better and the coral grew much better. And after half a year, I was again like, everything is doing so good that I said like, okay, let's update to another tank. So I got then the 425 XL. But I didn't want to run two reef tanks at the same time, so I kind of removed everything out of it and used it to quarantine my new fish for that tank. So every time I bought a fish, I put it in that one. Just, it was bare bottom, absolutely nothing inside, and I used it to quarantine and treat the fish before they can go to the 425 XL. After then, all the fish were done in that aquarium. Again, like even here, the corals grew more. So I had here and there some kind of chunks of the coral who broke off, and I didn't really want to have a lot of frag racks inside my big tank and then have all the frags over there. So I kind of put that guy again into place and used it then for all the frags. What I have inside here is I bought them on Etsy. They are these frag racks. You see like the whole kind of the width of the tank is completed, and then just kind of I have two level of frag racks, one much closer like in the upper third of the tank for the corals who need more light, and then one more down for the corals who need a little bit less light, which is kind of 1/3 of the tank. And then all the way in the back here I have another even lower grid, which is actually shaded by the top rack here, which I have like a mushroom and some other chalice coral down there, which don't really want to have a lot of lights at all. I also put the two frag racks on the side for some corals who need much also can use the more light, so I put them up here as well. The tank itself I run pretty much kind of just stock setup. It still has the skimmer inside, and you see kind of it still makes a lot of skimmate here all the time. Because even I don't have any fish inside, I have 3 little peppermint shrimps inside, and I feed them here and there some little pellets, because if you have, or at least that's my experience from a frag tank, and you have absolutely nothing inside, it's not very good for the coral, because they also need some, at least a little bit nutrition. So that's why I just have 3 shrimps inside, which I feed here and there with 1 or 2 tiny little pellets as well. But I have here all my corals inside, the green goblin Anacropora, the Monticap, the Montipora setosa, Montipora digitada, the TNT red Anacropora from Jason Fox, a green digitada, and on the top I have some green Monticaps and slime ball Anacropora there in the middle. And I have here and there a couple people locally in the Nashville area who visit me, and I'm more than happy to kind of give out some of these frags for a very good price, because I know every time somebody starts a tank, it's sometimes frustrating when you have to pay $60 or $100 for a tiny little frag, and then it kind of dies because your tank is not ready. So I have always absolutely special prizes here with my little frags, and I just like the exchange with people who come here, and then we talk a little bit about reefing, and I just try to, if they need it, some of them are even obviously more experienced than I am, but if they need some advice, I'm more than happy to give them some tips and tricks around the coral, since I was able to grow them quite successfully in my big tank. But back to the frag tank, to have the light, I use the Red Sea 50. That actually, the Reeflet 50, it actually comes with that tank, so I feel like that's a pretty good light. I would say I run the light on 80% blue, and I feel like 40% white, for also a duration of 10 hours total and 1 hour REM time in the morning and in the evening. And it kind of grows me the SPS coral even on that level here without any kind of issues. Then otherwise I have just a 5-gallon bucket underneath. I have the Tunzi, I feel like it's called mini auto top-off, because I don't use the stock top-off system, because that usually only holds for 2 or 3 days or 4 days or something like this. That's definitely not good enough. I love to have my tanks fully automated for at least a week, because then I can also go on vacation without having somebody constantly babysitting my tanks. So that's why I have the Tunzi auto top-off, which I also have in that tank, and I feel like it's the best I ever tried. I had the one from Neptune Systems before, had here and there little issues with that one, but the Tunzi one with the floating switch is absolutely perfect. I would never use anything else again. Also in that tank I dose all for reef, the solution. I have a dosing pump underneath, as well as a 1 liter cartridge here, which I have to fill up maybe once every month, because that tank uses probably 7 to 8 milliliters a day. So that's definitely not much, because there's not much coral inside. And the only other thing I do is I here and there have to dose nitrate and phosphate. So I measure with my henna checkers the level on the tank. And if I see sometimes that the phosphate goes a little bit down, again, because I don't have any fish inside, I dose the phosphate, and if the nitrate needs to be bumped up a little bit, I dose the nitrates. These two products are from ME Coral. It's a company, I feel like they are in Florida. And yeah, I think it's very easy to use. It has a little pipette thing inside here, so you can just go drop by drop, put it in the tank. But also with these things here, you really need to know what you're doing. So if you're very new, so maybe you better keep your fingers away from that stuff. But it's a very good tip. I was reading that online, and it worked actually very great for my tank here. The other thing I have with the tank, just to keep a little bit, or at least I try to keep the stability. Obviously, what I also could do is every other week completely change the water and stuff like this, because then I would also not have issues over time. But also on that tank I make 0 water changes. I know it's not that I'm proud of it or something like this, or that I recommend for any beginners to not do water changes on their system. But I don't do water changes on my 425, and I don't do water changes on my frag tank. I just always dose the all for reef minerals, and it's so much easier, and I save a lot of money by not using a ton of expensive salt all the time. The thing I have inside are these kind of bio blocks here on the bottom. I put them inside that the bacteria inside the tank can colonize the rock, that's the word, since I don't want to put any kind of sand into that tank. But that's it. There's a heater inside, obviously. I don't even have a real digital thermostat. I just have like one of these strips, temperature strips, which you can get from BRS. It's actually a very nice one, and it actually is super accurate because I tested it with my digital thermometer. And another nice thing is that flipper glass here. So it's a kind of glass who makes the view bigger, and so you can go and have a little bit better look at your frags. But I try to keep it very simple in that tank. Not much other stuff. It's the stock return pump that comes with the system. And the only other pump, I have to even quick check what that pump is. I feel like it's also a Tunzi pump, which only has around 100 gallons per hour, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a very, very small one, and I use it as kind of power head there in the back because I didn't really want to spend a lot more money to buy the same expensive Nero power heads I have on that tank for that one. And it's doing its job. The corals definitely, since they are all SPS coral, they need quite some flow. But you see there's actually quite some good flow in that tank, and things work out nicely. I use, I feel like I have them here, pretty nice frag plugs. Let me see if I can find them. They are called Reefing Art Purple Ceramic Coral Frag Plugs. I bought them on Amazon. And the cool thing on those frag plugs, they are not very cheap, or they're definitely more expensive than the regular ones. But the cool thing on those ones is they are purple. So they have a little hole in the middle where you can place the frag very nicely, and have the little slogan here, Reef Art, on it, and they are purple. So if you're a fan of coralline algae, I just think the frag looks nicer like this and makes it a little bit more attractive from that point on. But I tried to put everything on a frag plug. Some of the bigger chunks I don't have on frag plugs, so they're just there in the back. But I just kind of try to keep it as clean as possible. I definitely have to give that tank a little cleanup pretty soon because there's quite some detritus on the bottom. But I probably do that next weekend. This weekend I don't really have time to do that. But that's my little tour about the frag tank. I hope I can soon make some more cool, nice pictures of the frags to show you guys as well. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer anything, or if you have new ideas or something we would like to see in another video, put it in the comments below. And I see you in the next video. Thank you very much.